So a lot of you probably have been failing quite a few trainings recently, and with the amount of people on my streams asking me constantly how to train characters, I decided I might as well make a video explaining the basic strategy on actually training every single character in the game. That way you guys will have a good baseline on what to do during each training, and maybe get a few more wins on that URA finals from now on. In any case, in this video I'll be going through some points that you should be doing before actually training your characters. And the first one being, this one should be obvious, level up your support cards. If you don't have leveled up support cards, you'll have a very bad time during training or during the career. I'm just gonna say training because I'm way too used to saying training. But yes, leveling up cards is very important. It will help you a lot getting more stats, and that way you can actually overcome the races that you have some difficulties in. After you level up your support cards, you should probably check the races during one of your character's careers, or well, the character that you're going to train's career, because some characters might unexpectedly have a few longer races than they were supposed to. For example, Vodka, even though she is a mile runner, she does have some mid-distance races, and because of that she ends up being or needing a little bit more stamina, and that will of course change what kind of support card you'll have to get. So be sure to actually check the races before you actually start the training, because you might get surprised out of nowhere. Sometimes you just end up getting some really long races when you don't even have enough stamina. And of course, we should also talk about the inspiration, right? Inspiration, or having good characters for inspiration, will help you a little bit for your stats. So try getting some characters that increase the 3 first stats for inspiration. And those stats being speed, stamina, and power. Guts, not important. Wit is a little bit important, but we don't really need it as much as the other 3. So try getting some parents or some legacy characters, as they are called in the game, that can increase those 3 stats. If you can't get anything like that, don't worry. Right now in the game it's kinda hard to get good characters, good legacy characters for inspiration, because of course it is still the start of the game, we haven't really played that much, but we will eventually get good characters for inspiration. Maybe like characters with like 3 stars or a bunch of 3-star sparks to increase like a lot of speed, for example. Another thing that you could look for in legacy characters is if they have a spark that increases the distance aptitude. That way you might have a chance to increase that A rank to an S rank on short or sprint or whatever it's called these days. And if you do increase one of those aptitudes to S rank, you will have a speed boost during those races. So increasing the aptitude for the distance can be very useful. Also increasing the aptitude for the other 2s can be useful, but not as useful as the distance one. The second best one is the field one, so increasing the turf to S can increase your power, and increasing your style to S can increase the wit, if I remember correctly. See if you can get some legacy characters that can increase or that have some sparks to increase those aptitudes. And now let's talk about deck building. After checking the races in the career, you'll have a good idea of which races you'll be getting during the actual career training. And this will dictate what cards you'll be getting or will be using during the actual training. On screen I'll show you guys a basic template of what I've been using for each distance. It basically boils down to using 4 speed cards on every distance and changing the amount of stamina and power cards depending on the distance. And of course, if you can, try getting the Super Creek stamina card. That stamina card is very useful. It gives you a good amount of stats and also comes with some really important skills, mainly the stamina recovery skills. Those skills will be super important for mid distances and especially for long distance races. Without those, you might not survive the whole race, so be sure to get those whenever you can. You might have noticed how one of the speed cards on this diagram has a wit instead, has like a speed/wit card. If you have fine motion, she could be quite useful to use instead of a 4th speed card, because fine motion can help you with some skills, because she does come with some really nice skills, and she also can help you get a good amount of wit to actually trigger the skills. Most skills in this game have a wit requirement, a minimum wit requirement of around 300 or less, so getting at least 300 wit can end up being quite a bit important, and fine motion can help you get that wit very well. However, if you don't have fine motion, don't worry, you can still just use like a 4th speed card, and you can still get that 300 wit even without fine motion. Fine motion just makes your life a little bit easier, but if you don't have her, you don't really have to worry about it too much. And of course, under the deck builds, you'll see what I recommend to get in terms of stats for each distance. Of course, we will always want as much speed as possible, and of course focusing on how much power and how much stamina you will need for each distance. And as you can see, the higher the distance, the higher the stamina that you will get or that you will need, and the less power that you will need, of course. So be sure to get to those breakpoints. Of course, these numbers are just around some estimates that I've done myself. If you can get more, great. If you don't get more than that, it can end up being a little bit difficult. But try getting those stats at a minimum. Especially the 600 stamina on long races. That's really important. Honestly, I recommend even a little bit over 600, but 600 should be enough for most situations, especially if you have some stamina recovery skills. But of course, try getting more, that way it's a little bit more consistent during those races. And now that we've gone over that, let's talk about the game plan during the actual career. So firstly, we need to focus on improving your mood to the max level. Move affects the amount of stats you get, so having it maxed out is very important. So try starting your career by improving your mood with recreation. After you do that, you'll want to start increasing the bond for your support cards. So try to train on trainings where there are the most number of support cards. That way you can increase the most moods each turn. This is of course important because, you know, we need to trigger friendship training as fast as possible. That way we can get even more stats in the long run. Once you have pretty much max moods with pretty much everybody, you can start focusing on the actual stats that you actually need, like speed, stamina, or power, of course. And of course, again, do be sure to get at least 300 wit as you go through the career, because it will be quite a bit important to trigger those skills. Skills end up being very important during the races, because without them, some races are pretty much impossible. And of course, never forget to rest before summer. Summer starts in July, so whenever you see in the calendar that you're in around like late May or early June, start planning for summer and rest before summer does happen. Sometimes some girls do have some races during the June period, so you might want to rest even before, quite a bit before the actual race, because the race will take one turn from the June period. And that's honestly everything you need to know when it comes to training characters. A few characters have some minor details, but this could be a very good base for your knowledge when it comes to training pretty much every character. Of course, there will be sometimes some luck involved during races. Sometimes, even when you are doing everything right, you will still lose some races. Maybe your character just gets boxed or blocked by other characters during the races, or maybe something strange just happens. Maybe you get some late starts, maybe you get some other debuffs. It can just happen. At the end of the day, there is a good amount of RNG, and the only way to overcome this RNG is with really high stats. So yeah, don't worry if you just end up losing sometimes. Sometimes it kind of just happens. Sometimes you're just winning, and out of nowhere, you just lose unexpectedly. In any case, that's been it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it and found it useful. Thank you everybody for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one.